Australia's world first social media ban for under 16s is just weeks away from being enforced. Teenagers will no longer be able to access Instagram, TikTok, even YouTube, sparking plenty of concerns around privacy and the measures that will need to be taken, such as digital IDs perhaps. Joining us now is Rick Richardson, Australian inventor. Rick Richardson, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
So you're the inventor of a software activation, and your current focus is making the internet safe for children without destroying individual privacy. Now that, of course, is a very crucial point. So you're
Yeah.
doing this through Safegen. Can you talk to us about how this works?
Well, most of the way companies are now trying to work out um, uh, which accounts are linked to kids. They're doing a whack-a-mole kind of experiment with it, trying to
Mm.
use AI or face scans or surveillance of the account, or demanding digital, identities. But there is another technique which is called age gating, which is what my technology does, and which is quite easy to implement. And I don't think many people understand how available it is. But basically, what it means is that if you link a device, a phone number, to a child, you can just have a binary decision, yes or no. If that phone number is associated with the child, then don't allow them to have an account, or don't allow them to continue to have the account until they're of a proper age.
And I suppose that's such a important feature for parents with children on social media. What do you make of the government, though, enforcing this social media ban for under 16s? We're now seeing other countries around the world, such as Malaysia, potentially going to adopt what Australia is doing here. Do you
Mhm.
think it's the right move?
Well, I have quite a few grandchildren, and it's when you exposed to some of the things that they see on adult sites, it becomes really vivid, why this needed to happen. In fact, what started it for me was this was like an intellectual challenge initially, but when I saw a report from The Guardian in the UK where it said that three-quarters of the kids that they had interviewed had seen a beheading. And I
Wow.
just imagined my own grandkids having seen a beheading, and my daughter never having seen a beheading. Their mother has never seen a beheading.
Hmm.
I'm just thinking this is a completely different time. My daughter's a pretty tech savvy person. She grew up with technology, but she is not being exposed to the things that modern technology is possible now. So, it is really a different world. And although on the other side of it, you're thinking about how this could be seen as an infringement on people's rights and everything, when you think about a kid being exposed to adult themes, adult content, you really understand it's important to have that delay in there. So
Hmm.
personally, I agree with it, but to me, this is a get the guns kind of moment where Australia Australians are generally uh, pretty laid back. They don't like having a big opinion about things. And then all of a sudden, they just decide that common sense overrules everything, and they say that enough is enough. And because 80% of parents are all for this. So even though I have a personal position on it, the government's call has been to make this law. And so the idea is to try and make it as simple and as easy as possible to execute. And
Hmm.
from my perspective, it was most important to make sure that nobody has to hand over identities, and everything that's done is anonymous, so that we're not getting scanned, and we're not getting surveilled, and all kinds of shenanigans are happening.
Because I think that's a pretty key concern about the ways we may need to access social media from now on. Concerns around the potential digital IDs being enforced. So
Mhm.
I suppose through SafeGen, that's not going to happen.
Yeah. Well, to understand how it works, basically, every phone number can actually be turned into a hash, which is a scrambled version of that phone number. So rather than trying to identify every Australian that connects to social media, what we do at the moment is we have parents come in and voluntarily identify their kid's mobile phone number. It's hashed. And so when the social media companies connect to that list, they do a hash of the number that's associated with the social media account. And then they compare it to our list. And if it comes back that there's a child attached to that device, then they say, sorry, go and talk to your parents.
And look, kids are pretty tech savvy. Do you have concerns that children will find their way back onto social media?
Yeah, well, very early in the this process of trying to solve this problem, I have some friends that are in the IT space, and they're very tech savvy, and their kids just give them all kinds of grief with parent control software. Like and and for them to have trouble, I'm thinking it's a constant battle, and he just so
Mm.
frustrated, and he knows what he's doing. So the general population, general families, really, they're really in the firing line because their kids are really tech savvy.
They
But
certainly are.
yeah, but with something like this, it's pretty binary. So, and it actually, interestingly, it happens at the telcos because you can't actually get a SIM unless you're an adult. And I don't think many people think about that. To actually have a SIM, you need to present all kinds of
Mm.
identity information. And so it's quite easy to work out who is an adult and who is a minor associated with it. But at the moment, we're just asking for parents to cooperate. And that's why we started organically just doing opening up the service so people can actually add their kids. And we've got a simple sign up system on the site, on the safegen.com.au site, where people can add themselves first as a parent and then add their child's number. And it all just happens automatically from there. There's no stuff you've got to do on the phone. There's no software to load or any of that. It's all done at the social media side. And the social media companies are all collecting mobile numbers anyway, because that is what you use for your second factor when you authenticate your account. So
Mm.
it's one of those things which is pretty obvious after you see what we're up to.
Yeah. Well, I
Hopefully,
certainly,
it really becomes a good, simple national solution.
yeah, well, it's certainly a great focus to focus on, making the internet a safer place for children without destroying individual privacy. Rick Richardson, Australian inventor, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.